Welcome into Chicago Bears Now live here on a Tuesday. Different time today, 6 Eastern, 5 Central. I got a later day here at work, so push the start time back. We're live as always on YouTube, on Rumble. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Appreciate you guys who are able to adjust your schedules today because I know you guys like interacting on these live shows just as I like interacting with all of you. So I appreciate it, and hey, you know, maybe in the future we'll mix up some of the start times, but we'll be back at 3 o'clock next week, but just changing it up for today. As always, we'll let the audience build up a little bit here, whether you are on YouTube or on Rumble, so shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from, and let's get some shout outs going in the live chat. Kay Johnson says, I like this time. Hey, you never know. Maybe we'll mix it up here in the future. Alan Mack still joining us from Dublin, 11 o'clock over there. That's a loyal Bears Now watcher right there, Alan. I appreciate it very much. What's up? Another Josh says, Tamber's in Chicago. RJ is in Wisconsin. We got Lucas Prang in the chat from Kenosha. Any rumor of vet wide receivers? Well, there's always rumors out there. Stay tuned. We'll break down the latest news and rumors coming up here in just a few moments. We got Matthew in San Antonio. Let's see. RJ in Wisconsin, Tamber in Chicago, Valparaiso, Indiana, Deuce in the Philippines. We got Boston, Massachusetts in the chat from Andre. Broadway is in Wichita, Kansas. We got Julian in Elgin, Illinois. Sunny SoCal from Danny. That probably is pretty nice this time of year. Michael is in Decatur. We got Octane saying Chicago, checking in. You guys are repping everywhere. Steven in Albuquerque, Marcel in Chi-Town. We got Yonkers, New York from Brian. Not Detroit. What a dump from J-Dog. Uh-oh. I wonder if Don Burr got the memo of our 5 o'clock start today. Who knows? Who knows? Should the Bears sign James Bradberry? The veteran corner was released by the Giants yesterday and is free to sign with another team. Type S for sign, type P for pass. This is also the live poll question in the chat. We'll dive deeper into this, but kind of feel like with the addition of Kyler Gordon in the draft that the Bears won't be in play here. But we're letting you guys decide. S for sign, P for pass. Iowa, my man from Tyler, what's good? We got Sean in New Zealand. Let's ride. Tyler says sign him. Sebastian says pass. Brandon saying pass, hard pass from the Prodigy. Georgia passing as well. So is Evan, Troy, and Brandon. Maurice wants to sign him, and so does Jeremy. Maurice definitely in on Bradberry, as is Andres. Fields Goat says pass. It's 50-50 on the live poll, so the chat seems to want to pass on him, though. So I guess the folks who want James Bradberry aren't as loud in the comments. Well, maybe the answer to this next question is James Bradberry, but if it's not, list another player. Name a player that the Bears should go out and sign in free agency. I don't think corner is nearly as big of a need as it was earlier this offseason, but if you still want Bradberry, that's okay. Still thinking receiver. I'm still thinking offensive line. Pass, I think, from Eduardo. Let's see. Who do you guys want? Will Fuller from the Prodigy. Emmanuel Sanders from RJ. We got Jay Cutler from Andres in the chat. Smoking Jay will always have a place on this show. Eric Fisher we get from JF1. We got Xavier saying Akeem Hicks. Jarvis Landry from Mo Green. Larry Ogunjobi, who spent the last 2 days with the Jets, apparently. So could be some momentum there for him to sign with New York. Let's see here. OBJ from Gaming. Chaz says Hicks. Will Fuller from Tough Guy. Veteran left tackle, definitely down. T.Y. Hilton, a lot of good names in there. Dwayne Brown, Deshaun Jackson. Haven't talked about Deshaun Jackson much. I don't think I'm that interested, but, you know, be another bit of a weapon there. Not a full-time starter by any means. All right, I've seen it a few times already, so we might as well embrace it. Screw the Packers. Type FGB. You guys know what it stands for. FGB. This really took off late last season, but during the draft, this was a staple. So I think it's going to be a staple every week here on Bears Now. FGB. Chant it in the chat. Let's go. Let's ride. Type it more than once. We'll get some shout-outs here. Go a little rapid fire of those saying FGB. What does FGB mean? F Green Bay. Yes, we could say it on Rumble, which we'll have a Rumble-only segment after the show, so stay tuned. Sebastian, Andrew, Legends, Shannon, Jerpel, Tyler, Shannon. We got Jonathan, Andrew, Lucas, Shannon in there again, Jacob, Marco. We got Denise, Don Bird, Detroit, best team in the North. He still found us. He's back. Hey, Don Bird riles you guys up. I love his contribution. Jacob in the chat, Tamber, Eduardo, Jay, FGB, and AR from Maurice. There you go. That's a double whammy there, Rogers. We'll see ya. Bring back Marquise Goodwin. Hey, hashtag Bears asked that question. We'll stuff that into a mailbag later on in the show. Yeah, we gotta load up those sacks with questions today. Xavier says FGB. FGB from Xavier. FD Burr from the Prodigy. Oh, it's getting spicy already here. A little primetime Bears now on a Tuesday evening. All right, who do you want the Bears to play in Week 1? Schedule set to drop on Thursday. We'll have a video for you guys as soon as the schedule is released. Hopefully, if it gets leaked earlier, we'll have you covered before the national media gets it. Who do you want the Bears to play in Week 1 of this year? How about Detroit? Let's start off 1-0. That'd be nice. Houston Texans, they're on the schedule. Although there's a rumor out there that the Chiefs are going to play Houston Week 1. Poor Davis Mills in that one. Don't want Green Bay Week 1. FGB, we don't want that. Let's at least be honest with ourselves. We don't want Green Bay in Week 1. Let's ease into this season. Nick says Green Bay. Tamber says the Jets. I don't think the Bears play the Jets this year. They play the AFC South, so not the Jets. They do play the Dolphins in the crossover game. That could be a possibility. Jets, not going to happen. Eagles. Do the Bears play the Eagles? Maybe? I don't know, though. I don't think so, actually. I think the Bears would play who finished third in the East last year? Washington? I think they'd play Washington. So I'd have to double check. Niners, they do play the Niners. That'd be a fun Week 1 game. Fields versus Lance. Let's ride. That'd be awesome. Lucas says Texans. Fields versus Trey Lance. Huh? What's that? Oh, maybe Jimmy G will be starting still. Who knows? If Matt Nagy had to say it, it'd definitely be Jimmy G. Bears, Texans from Lucas. Matt Golden Corral. Jacksonville. That'd be nice. AFC South opponent there to ease things in. We'll see. We shall see. All right, we're going to jump in to the bulk of our live show here in just a moment. If you're ready for the real show to start, like the video. Let's get to, 85 likes. We already got 53. Let's get to 85 here. Got over 220 people watching. We should be able to get to 100. It takes less than half of you guys to hit that thumbs up icon. Once you've liked on Bears Now Live, the latest Chicago Bears news and rumors as more unfolds at a rookie mini camp. 2 live mailbags, so use hashtag Bears or Super Chat. No Super Chats yet, so if you get a Super Chat in, you will have the first question on our first mailbag, so stay tuned for that. Bears cut and trade candidates, some guys that could cut and trade after the draft, after rookie minicamp, because, teams are making roster moves. We covered the 6 signings and 6 cuts on Monday, but I think there could be some bigger moves that could happen. We'll take a look at that. Plus, Bears Now After Hours is back live on Rumble, as we are live on YouTube and Rumble right now. At the end of our normal YouTube show, we will stay live on Rumble for a bonus segment. We'll remind you guys throughout the show, but you can join us over there, rumble.com/BearsNow, and we'll have a bonus segment today for you guys. All right, jam-packed show. Got producer Coop riding shotgun. Here we go here on Chicago Bears Now. What's up? Welcome in to Chicago Bears Now. I'm your host, as always, Harrison Graham, getting you guys caught up on the latest Bears news and rumors here on a Tuesday night. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and locking in on today's show. Got a rumors roundup for you guys, so let's jump into it. Could the Bears go out and sign James Bradberry? They could. They won't. I think it's fake news. I don't think it's that likely. If even 5% likely for a couple of reasons why, and there are a few reasons why I just don't think there's a chance. Number one, a report coming out earlier today, and by the way, Bears Twitter's been asking me, that's why we're talking about this, but number one, report came out after that he was released that the Giants had trade offers, but that teams couldn't agree to a new contract for Bradberry because it sounds like he wants a lot of money. Bears aren't going to pay a lot of money for a free agent corner, or probably for any free agent at this point in the offseason, for a couple reasons. One, they're going to have about $60 million in dead cap this offseason. Shout out Ryan Pace. Two, the Bears aren't going to be frugal spenders this year. They've proven that. Doesn't mean they're not going to make moves, but I don't think going out and getting a corner like James Bradberry for over $10 million a year, which is what he might want, makes sense, especially since the secondary is the one position the Bears have invested in this offseason. Signing Bradberry doesn't make sense. You went out and signed Tavon Young to play nickel. You signed 2 DBs with your first 2 picks in the NFL draft. You don't really need a guy like James Bradberry. You look at his past couple of years in New York, and I liked the player, but he gave up 8 touchdowns last year. Did have 4 picks, but a lot of yards allowed at the end of the day as well. I think James Bradberry is a good player, but I think once you sign Kyler Gordon, I mean, where are you putting Bradberry? Are you going to bench Gordon his rookie year? No, I want him to play. You're not benching Jalen Johnson. You're not putting Gordon or Johnson at nickel and benching Tavon Young. Maybe Tavon Young gets beat out by Thomas Graham or Kendall Vilder or maybe even a Duke Shelley, but Gordon and Johnson are going to be your outside corners. The Bears have already said Gordon is going to start on the outside. So should the Bears sign James Bradberry? I don't think it makes sense, but I'll let you guys weigh in. Type S for sign, type P for pass. Should Chicago go out and get James Bradberry? Pin comment on today's video, so if you get hit with a YouTube ad break, go ahead and weigh in right there. Alan Williams, the Bears defensive coordinator, which I just mentioned, I may have slightly misspoke. I said that he said that Gordon would start at outside corner. He's going to have to earn a starting job, but he's going to play at outside corner. They're not going to move him around a lot as a rookie. They want him to focus on being an outside guy. I said start because I just assume he's going to start. They drafted him with their first pick. Unless he's just terrible in camp and in the preseason and stuff, I fully expect him to be a starter opposite of Jalen Johnson. I liked what I saw from him last year at the University of Washington. Teams only completed just over 50% of their passes when targeting him, and obviously they targeted him more than they targeted Trent McDuffie on the other side because he was a very good quarter as well, and Gordon more than held his own. A couple of picks, 7 pass breakups, less than 250 total yards, no touchdowns. Kyler Gordon, I think is going to be a stud in the NFL. And quite frankly, even if he's not better than Bradberry right now, which that's probably fair to say, right? Bradberry's played at a high level in this league. Gordon's proven nothing in the NFL. That being said, where the Bears are as a franchise right now, I would much rather play the rookie Gordon than go out and sign Bradberry and stunt Gordon's development. That would be a Ryan Pace move, where you're not really ready to win at a high level this year. Maybe you can compete and sneak into the playoffs, but play the rookie. See what he can do. Let him develop. That is what makes sense, and I think that'll be the outcome here. I don't think the Bears will go out and sign James Bradberry. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel because we go live every single Tuesday, plus daily videos on the channel for you guys as well. The latest news, rumors, I mentioned the live shows, mailbags on those live shows, watch parties during the season. We have a lot of fun, so subscribe, join us, interaction with you guys. I love doing this, and hey, we'll get to be at 50,000 subscribers pretty soon with your guys' help. So hit that sub button. It's 100% free. All right, rumor number 2 here on today's Bears Rumors Roundup. Robert Quinn, could he get traded to the Rams? One smoking Jay. This one was proposed by Bleacher Report. Obviously, Robert Quinn played with the Rams before, back when they were in St. Louis, but Bleacher Report put out an article of trades that should happen before the season, and they proposed a Quinn to the Rams trade. A couple of reasons why it would make sense for LA. Well, they lost Von Miller this offseason, so Quinn could be a natural replacement. But I think for Chicago, I think the fact that he wasn't traded during the NFL draft, I think that likely means he'll at least start the season with the Bears, and then a midseason trade could be revisited if, a contender feels like they're a pass rusher away from, making a deep run in the playoffs, like the Rams last year when they traded for Von Miller in the middle of the season. Here was Bleacher Report's trade idea, and quite frankly, I'd be pretty intrigued. Second-round pick next year for Robert Quinn? Okay, that's pretty appealing if we're being completely honest, and I like Robert Quinn. But again, not that you're not trying to win at all this year, but you clearly haven't gone all in this year if you are Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and the Bears. This team will compete. I have no doubt about that. They're going to play hard every single snap of every single game, but this is a team that wants to build through the draft in the future. If you could get a second-round pick for Quinn, whether it's before the season or at the trade deadline, let's ride. I mean, I would take a second-round pick probably for Robert Quinn. Would you trade Robert Quinn if a second-round pick was on the table? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Be hard to turn down, for being completely honest. Get your votes in down in the comment section. Because let's be real, too. Robert Quinn's kind of had one of these topsy-turvy careers. Really good career. But he's also been up and down. 2 years ago, 2 sacks. Last year, 18.5. If I had to guess, 2 is more likely than 18.5. Now, I think he's going to have a lot more than 2 this year, but I don't think he's going to give you 14 or 15 sacks. I mean, I think I'd be thrilled with 8 or more. He's got to be 32. He's not getting any younger. New scheme, going back to a 4-3, which he's played in before. I'm not saying he can't adjust back to that, but let's just be honest. Like, is he going to have another career year of 15-plus sacks? That seems unlikely, right? When you look at his year-by-year results. If a second-round pick is on the table, you got to consider that, especially if it's at the deadline. I could see a contender calling at the deadline, regardless of where the Bears are at, and like, hey, we'll throw a second for Robert Quinn, third. Got to consider at that point. I'll keep making the comparisons to the Eagles from last year. I think this Bears team could be like the Eagles from last year. They traded away Zach Ertz. They still rallied and made the playoffs because that was a young team with a first-year head coach. They got better and better throughout the NFL season with a young quarterback who got better throughout the season in Jalen Hurts. And by the way, I think Justin Fields has much more natural ability than Jalen Hurts. So even if they do sell at the deadline, doesn't mean this team can't win games and can't contend and sneak into the playoffs in 2023 or 2022, then obviously in 2023 as well. All right, we'll get to our last story here in just a moment, but we are going live on the Callin app tomorrow on Wednesday, if you're watching on Wednesday today, at 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central Time. The link is in the live chat for you guys to subscribe and join us for that. We actually had a call with the call-in higher-ups just recently. They were kind of roaming our YouTube channel and taking a look at some of our more popular commenters, and they said, hey, invite these folks specifically to come join the Call-In show because they comment a lot on YouTube. We want to bring them over to Call-In as well. So if I mispronounce any of these, I apologize, but shout out to all of you. You guys have been commenting a lot. And if you're not on this list, hey, keep commenting more. You can be on the Power Commenters list as well, and obviously everybody's invited to this call-in show on Wednesday. Mike Jarmaluk, we got number one Bears fan Tony Lombardo, Karen Downing, RJ King Shark. We got Steve Billings, Franz Dorenzo, Broski Bear, Josh Hickman, and Robert Gardes. Hey, we will be live on Callin tomorrow, Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central. The Callin app, by the way, for anyone who is not aware, we've been plugging it for the past couple of weeks. It's like Twitter Spaces meets podcasting. There's a caller queue. You guys can call in, ask your questions. We can talk back and forth, sports radio style. It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the first couple of episodes that we have done, and we're going to do a show once a week live over there. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin. Subscribe. Join us on Wednesday night. All right, next story here on our Bears Rumors Roundup. Nick Kwiatkoski, how about signing the former Bear? One Smokin' Jay, I could see it still potentially. Kwiatkoski, a couple of you guys have been asking about me. What's he been up to? Could he still be an option? Well, he did visit the Raiders on Monday. That's public knowledge. But we also have a source here at Chat Sports who talked to Kwiatkoski and said and heard from Quit himself that he has 2 more visits. Now, he could not reveal what those teams are, but I think the Bears could be a team that makes sense for a couple of reasons. One, he used to to play in Chicago, and by all accounts liked playing for the Bears. Obviously a different regime. But number 2, the Bears could use another linebacker. They really could. You got Roquan Smith, one of the best in the game. You signed Nicholas Morrow. By the way, a teammate of Nick Kwiatkoski's with the Las Vegas Raiders. I like the addition of Jack Sanborn as a UDFA. I think he could make this team. I don't know if he's ready to start, though. Matthew Adams, more of a special teams guy that, can play some snaps, but he's certainly not an every down backer in the NFL. Nick Kwiatkoski, you bring him in here, he could start at middle potentially. Roquan and Nick Morrow could be your outside guys, with obviously Roquan being an every down guy. Kwiatkoski's best 2 seasons were his last year with the Bears, first year with the Raiders, which, by the way, he was a team captain with Vegas in 2020 before being phased out a little bit last year. We'll get to that in a second. But I liked what I saw his last year in 2019. Shout out Ryan Pace for deciding to pay Danny Trevathan over the younger and ascending Nick Kwiatkoski. 2020, that proved to be the wrong move because Kwiatkoski played well for Vegas, while Danny Trevathan that year and this past year was banged up and couldn't stay on the field and had clearly lost a step. Now, you can also say injuries impacted Kwiatkoski in 2021. I will concede that, but I will never admit that Ryan Pace made the right call at linebacker that year. They signed the wrong guy. But maybe this regime can right that wrong a little bit and bring in Kwiatkoski as a number 2, number 3 type of linebacker. When you have Roquan Smith, you don't need studs around him. You need solid vets. And that's what Nick Morrow is. That's what Kwiatkoski would be if you added him as well. I'd like to see it happen. We'll see who those 2 teams are that he's going to visit, but he did revisit the Raiders on Monday, so we'll see if they end up signing him. If not, maybe the Bears could be in play. Should the Bears bring back Nick Kwiatkoski? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Curious to see what you guys think on this one. And a reminder, subscribe on Callin, chatsports.com/BearsCallin, going live Wednesday night, 6 Eastern, 5 Central time. I want to interact with all of you. I want to take your phone calls on the app. It's really user-friendly. It's a lot of fun. There's also a live chat feature, so if you don't want to talk to me, I've gotten a couple of comments. Hey, I don't want to call in. Well, just join us. It's extra content, and you can interact in the live chat. No big deal. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin. I'm inviting all of you to join us on Wednesday. All right, I want to get some shout-outs here. Should the Bears bring back Nick Kwiatkoski? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Get some shout-outs flying in here in just a moment. A little hydration. Martin says yes, so does Lucas, Georgia, Andy. Got Relentless saying yes, John.
I'm not sure Coke Zero hydrates you.
Producer Coop questioning my hydration choices of Coke Zero, which is probably fair, but that's where the water comes in. A little balance. Appreciate the nutritional advice. That's the word I'm looking for. Arthur saying yes, so does JF. Benjamin saying no. Mark says yes. Broski, no. Chaz, Patrick, Alan, Maurice. We got for the right price from Daniel. I think that's fair. You're not going to overpay for a guy like Quip. $2-3 million. I think you could get him on board. All right, mailbag number 1 coming up. Use hashtag Bears or Super Chat. No Super Chats yet. Usually we got a couple flying in by now. If you want to gamble and just go hashtag Bears and think your question's guaranteed to come through on that front, then okay, you can gamble, you can roll the dice, or you can guarantee to get your question on the show by super chatting. In all seriousness, I know that your guys' money is important to you guys, just like it is to me. So not expected, but certainly appreciated for anybody who can donate. Really helps the channel grow. So here we go. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. Mailbag number 1 coming up here on Bears Now. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. It is mailbag time. We're set and ready to go with all of your questions. So load them up, and I will answer as many as I can. Georgia Rebel, Harrison needs to peep our schedule. We play the Jets, Giants, and Eagles. If the Bears play the Jets, I apologize for that misspeaking earlier. But I did know about the Giants and Eagles on that front. So Thursday, full schedule comes out Thursday, and we'll have a video for that. Mohamed Toure, bring back Marquise Goodwin. I'm open to it. Listen, he's not a guy I would want to start, but number 4, number 5 receiver, Good speed, still hit on a couple of deep balls last year. I think he can still do that. He can still run. He proved that a year ago. You just have to understand what you're getting there. You're not getting a 50, 60 catch guy. 20, 30 catches, a couple of deep balls throughout the season. Okay, 1 year minimum deal. I'm open to it. The prodigy, we as a fan base need to look, I assume is what you mean there, at the Bills model. 0 big-time receivers, developed Allen in the offense and defense, then grabbed Diggs, and the team took off. That's what Poles is doing. I think there's some good analogies there. I think where the Bears are now are probably about where the Bills were in 2018 or 19. Talented young quarterback that needs good coaching, needs developing. Some decent role players that still have room to grow. And then next offseason, kind of like the Bills did in year 2 or 3 of Allen, you make a big move, right? You go sign a big-time player, you trade for a receiver, you draft one in the top 5 or 10 or whatever. I think there's some parallels to Prodigy. I really, really do. What up, Albert? Who will have a better year this year, Zach Wilson or Justin Fields? Well, if you ask Dan Orlovsky, he says Fields is screwed in that the Jets set up Zach Wilson extremely well, which, hey, they made some good moves. I won't necessarily say that's not true, but I also tweeted out, I think it's going to be funny when Fields has a better year this year. I just believe in his talent more. And quite frankly, even though this coaching staff is unproven, I don't know if the Jets staff is, a staff that's just going to help Zach Wilson take off. So we'll ask you guys. I think it's going to be Justin Fields. Who will be better in 2022? Type JF for Fields, type ZW for Wilson. I think both have a chance to be really good. I think that 2021 draft class at quarterback has a lot of good players in it. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go with JF, but if you think it's Wilson, type ZW. Juan Espinoza, why is the media so against Ryan Poles about how he did in the draft? I honestly think it's two things. One, I think the national media just could not believe that the Bears would draft defense with both their second-round picks. I thought for sure one of the picks would be defense. Now, I thought one would be offense, but with the way offensive line went in the draft, those guys were flying off the board. So I'm not surprised the way it played out. They didn't go O-line in round 2 or even round 3. Could you have gone receiver instead of safety or corner with your first 2 picks? Yeah, you could have. But I think they were surprised Kyler Gordon was there. I was surprised he was there, so they took him. And they loved Brisker at 48, so they took him. And then obviously the national media doesn't like the Velus Jones pick. I think he's got a chance to be really good, but I do understand a little bit of that. But, it's Poles' first draft. We got to, trust what he's doing, and we'll see how it plays out on the field at the end of the day. JF1 Bears forever. Would you rather draft Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigba at 7 overall? Which, by the way, the 7 overall thing, that's just based on Super Bowl odds, the way they're doing way too early mock drafts next year, so who knows if they're actually picking there. But I don't care either. I think both are going to be good. I think what's the guy from LSU? Booty, is that his name? He's going to be Boutte. He's going to be good. He ain't Booty, I'll tell you that. He's going to be a good player. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of good receivers next year, just like there were this year. Oh, yes, Don Burr is back. Detroit UDFA class better than the Bears draft class. That is a hot take, Donnie. That is a hot take. If you guys want to boo Don Burr in the chat, just type boo down below because that take is just incorrect. Chaz Mitchell, sign Akeem Hicks. Sure. I won't say no. Rotation guy at this point in his career probably, although, hell, he might start at defensive tackle next to Justin Jones. So I'm open to it. He's going to miss games. Injuries have piled up, but if he's cheap enough, I would not rule it out. Now, we are also live on Rumble as we are on YouTube, and you guys should really follow us over on Rumble because it's a great app where we're publishing all of our Chicago Bears Now videos now. What's cool about the app over there, if you're on your phone or your tablet or whatever, if you're walking around or whatever it is, you can listen podcast style and have other apps open. On YouTube, if you get a text while you're watching a video and you click into it, the video pauses. Not on Rumble. It's Rumble's like having YouTube Premium. Back out of the app, video will keep playing. So that's a cool feature. You can be in other apps, listen to us still. So check it out, rumble.com/Bears Now. Posting videos over there every single day. Nonchalant 54. Will the Bears get a true number one before training camp? I'm getting nervous here. Look, I think Darnell Mooney's your number one this year. I think it is. I think that's your number one. So I think they could add a receiver. I don't think, who's going to be a true number one? OBJ's probably going to miss half the season. So it is what it is. What super chat do I need to shout out? Isaiah Paul, appreciate the super chat and appreciate all the support. Brandon, thanks for the stimmy, Don. Hashtag FGB. Donnie Burr giving us the stimmy. Good stuff. Don Burr hopped on our call-in show the other day, and I enjoyed talking to him. He's a good sport. He's just a classic sports fan troll. It is what it is. You guys go back and forth with him. I enjoy it. Mark Peterson, whatever happened to Riley Ridley? I feel like he never got a fair shot. People say that, but then he didn't land anywhere, right? Like, if he didn't get a fair shot, don't you think a team would have given him a shot if they felt like he was worthy of it? I'm not saying he couldn't have been a good player under the right circumstances. What I am saying is we can't just blame everything on Nagy in the last regime. We can blame a lot. There's a lot to blame there. But at the end of the day, he was slow, and I don't think he was that good of a player. I mean, he was a fourth, sixth round pick, whatever it was. I can't even remember at this point. Just, some of these things they don't work out. Zachary, appreciate the $1 as well. Tough guy with the $2 super chat. Don is low-key a Bears fan. Stop the shenanigans. Hey, Don, feel free to respond. I know you're watching. Feel free to respond. BK, would you rather the Bears make the playoffs next year or get a top 5 pick? That's a good question. Probably playoffs, right? You always want to be in the playoffs. And here's why I'd say that, BK. If you're in the playoffs, then you're on the right track. Like, you're ahead of schedule. When all the national media, depending on when you're watching this mailbag, maybe the Bears schedule's already out, they're all going to predict the Bears to win 5 games. I think they're going to win more than that. I think they're going to surprise some people. I don't know if they'll necessarily make the playoffs, but if they do or if they're close, you're on good track if you're the Bears. You really are. Now, if you have a top 5 pick, that's okay too, but if you have a top 5 pick, are you also questioning what you have at quarterback? Does that mean Fields didn't play well? I don't know. We'll have to see how the year plays out, but I think if you can make the playoffs, you should always want to make the tournament and see if you can make a run because weirder things have happened in the NFL playoffs. All right, which Bears rookie are you most excited about? Overall, it can be a UDFA, it can be Kyler Gordon or anyone in between. It could be any rook. I want to hear from you guys. Which rookie are you guys most excited about? Haha, what's up, Coach? Matt Nagy in the chat. Best of luck in KC. Bears offense ranked 25th or worse this season. We'll see, Coach. We'll see. I think if the Bears are around 20th, that would be good progress. Can you be 20th in total offense? Even 22nd? Just don't be disastrous. Make steps. That's what I want to see. Nang Mung, how do you feel about possibly signing Jarvis Landry? It'd be beneficial for Fields if he had a proven receiver. Definitely open to it. Sounds like he wants decent money still. Doesn't sound like he's going back to the Browns. So, yeah, he'd be your number 2 at least, right? I think Mooney would be your 1, Landry would be your 2, Pringle, Velus Jones, kind of your next guys there. I would like that. I would like Jarvis Landry for this football team. I think he'd be a good fit. You've got some guys who can stretch the field now. Have Landry kind of be your underneath target, your safety valve, along with Cole Kmet. Ethan Eli, who do you want the Bears to sign next free agency? Oh, that's a good question. If the Seahawks are stupid and don't pay DK Metcalf and he becomes a free agent, then how about him? That'd be a lot of fun. So we'll probably do a video of 2023 free agent targets at some point, so stay tuned for that. Broski Bear back at it. Appreciate it. Goodwin, Sanders, Humphreys, Westbrook, Cole, Hearns, Hilton, Fuller. Who are your top 2 choices for the Bears to sign at receiver? They really need to sign one. Top 2 out of that list. I would go probably Will Fuller and Emmanuel Sanders. Although T.Y. Hilton I would have close. I wouldn't mind Goodwin as like if you brought in two as like the second one as a depth piece. Say you signed Will Fuller and Goodwin. Goodwin's kind of just a poor man's Fuller if Fuller gets hurt. So that could make some sense as well. Appreciate all your questions here on this mailbag. We post mailbags all the time. We go live every Tuesday answering your questions. So be sure to subscribe, youtube.com/BearsNow. If you love the Bears, well, like the video. We got 162 likes, almost 500 people watching live. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 200 likes here. Come on, while I sip my CZ. By the way, I brought the orange back. It's been a while. I used to rock orange a lot on the show. I think I got to get it back in the mix.
You know, our resident Bears fan, Petey, says the orange is bad luck.
Ooh, Petey. He has said that before. I'll have to talk to him. I like the orange. I know that they haven't won a lot in those jerseys recently, but I got the Fields orange jersey. Maybe that's cursed, but I'm all in on the orange. I'm all in on the orange. So like the video. We're 17 likes away. Come on. Let's get to 200 likes. Type me once you've liked it. Tough Guy says me. JF says me. Tyler Smith says me. Appreciate you guys. 15 likes away from 200. Zachary Francois. Appreciate the $1 super chat. I can't remember if I shouted you out or not. RJ says me. Alan Mack says me. Julian Relentless. 2 likes away from 200. And then we're going to jump into our next segment. All right. They're coming in now. Arthur, Michael, Brandon, Chaz. Appreciate you guys. Like the video if you haven't already. Coming up here on Bears Now, some cut and trade candidates following the draft, following rookie minicamp. Let's dive into it here on Bears Now. You're watching Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. On today's show, we're going to take a look at some cut and some trade candidates following the draft, following rookie minicamp. Take a look at some players that could be on the move. But first, let's kind of take a look at the offseason outlook at this point. Draft obviously over as the Bears drafted several players and signed a bunch of UDFAs. Free agency ongoing, but, less moves happening at this point. I could see a couple of minor moves that could take place, and the Bears could do it. They've got about $16 million in cap space still. They could go out and sign a couple of players. They could sign even more if they ended up trading a couple of guys. Now, a couple million of that will go to their higher-up draft picks, but still they would have some room to go out and sign a couple of free agents. So before we get into my cut and trade candidates, be sure to join us on the Call-In app. A lot of you guys are going to be watching this video on Wednesday afternoon. So tonight, Wednesday night, we're going to go live on Call-In at 6 o'clock Eastern, at 5 o'clock Central Time. I will pin in the comments of this video the link to today's room, as they call it on Call-In. Call-In is basically an app where you guys hop in the caller queue. I take your calls. We chop Bears football back and forth. Then I go to the next caller, breaking down the latest news and rumors and whatever questions you have. It's basically Twitter Spaces on crack. That's the best way I can describe it. Great app, user-friendly. Almost have 200 subscribers over there. Want to grow that number, so go over there and subscribe. And by the way, the higher-ups at Call-In reached out and said, hey, here are your power commenters on YouTube. Go ahead and specially invite them to Wednesday's show. I said, okay, I'll give them some love here on YouTube. So Mike, number one Bears fan, Tony, Karen, RJ, Steve, Franz, Broski Bear, Josh Hickman, and Robert. Welcome. Join us on Call-In, and everybody watching, join us on Call-In. And hey, if you want to be a power commenter, just comment more, and we'll get an updated list in the future. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin. Again, audio social podcasting app. We do live episodes every week. The cool thing about this app compared to a Twitter Spaces, after we're done, we publish it as just a podcast episode. So if you can't join us live, you can tune in for that as well. But most importantly, I want you to join live because it is your chance to call in and interact with me. Call me directly. I want to hear from all of you. So subscribe, join us. Again, pin comment the link to Wednesday night show. All right, now let's get to some Bears cut candidates. Number one, how about Sam Mustipher? I think cutting Sam Mustipher became a lot more likely after the NFL draft. After they signed Lucas Patrick, I said, okay, Sam Mustipher will be a cheap backup center. But then they went out and drafted a center in Doug Kramer. And if Kramer can show that he's got more guard versatility than a guy like Sam Mustipher, who I'm not sure has enough strength to play guard, then maybe Mustipher just gets cut and they worry about Doug Kramer's development. We know Patrick's going to start at center. Unless they feel like Sam Mustipher can start at right guard, which that seems like a long shot to me. I don't think Dakota Dozier should start. I think they should either go sign someone or hope that one of these rookies can pan out and start as a rook. But I think Sam Mustipher's time with the Bears could be coming to an end. Did not play well last year. I don't mind him as a backup, but you drafted a backup in Doug Kramer, who is a local guy anyway. So I don't know. I think there's a pretty decent chance Mustipher could be gone. What say you? Will Sam Mustipher make the Bears' 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think it's 50-50 at best. The good news is this Bears regime is preaching competition, and he'll get the chance to compete throughout this offseason. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Duke Shelley, who's, hey, Pops, if you're watching, we've talked before on Twitter, nothing against Duke, loved him at K-State. He's had some moments in the NFL. This list is based on moves the Bears have made in the offseason. And what moves have they made? Okay, you signed Tavon Young, who is a starting caliber nickel in the NFL. And Duke Shelley is primarily a nickelback. Can play outside in a pinch, but he's undersized, so that makes it tough for him. You've got Thomas Graham and Kendall Vilder, who I think are assets that I would assume this Bears regime want to give more of a look than a Duke Shelley that has been in the NFL for a few years. This could be the end of the road for him in Chicago. Look, he's had opportunities. He's started several games. He's been very up and down. He's had moments, but he's gotten burned as well. Probably makes more sense to give a guy like a Thomas Graham or a Kendall Vilder more opportunities as a rotation guy. Now, what could separate him is if he's a really good special teams player, and if these other guys don't perform in that area, maybe that gives him a chance. But I expect Tavon Young to start, and assuming that's the case, it's going to be tough for Duke Shelley. All right, Nasimba Webster. I think this is going to end up being a no-brainer. I mean, he could be on the 90-man throughout the offseason, but basically, he's a return specialist, can play some at receiver as kind of a jet sweep, gadget type of guy, but you've got plenty of those guys, right? You've got a lot of guys that can return kicks and punts. You've got guys that can, do different things on offense. The Velus Jones pick made this tough for him. You've got a guy like Byron Pringle who can return kicks and punts. Khalil Herbert can be a kick returner. Treston Ebner, that's the name I was thinking of. You drafted him. He can be a gadget guy and a returner. Where does Nasimba Webster fit? I don't see how he's on this football team this year. I think there's a good chance he gets cut. How about Jeremiah Tachu, who, if he were to get cut, he would have played 0 snaps for the Bears after signing a 2-year deal before last season. We'll see. You drafted Dominic Robinson out of Miami of Ohio. I think he's a guy I'd rather give snaps to, quite frankly. I think Charles Snowden, a UDFA from last year, is a guy I'd rather see get a look than the vet like a Tachu. Plus, you cut him post-June 1st. You save almost $2.5 million. That could be a legitimate rotation player that you go out and sign if you want to. So I think there's a decent chance he gets cut for financial reasons and just for youth reasons. Play some younger guys at that defensive end spot, especially considering didn't even play last year due to injuries. Be sure to hit that subscribe button because our offseason coverage is on fire and we're not going anywhere. Daily videos here on YouTube, youtube.com/BearsNow. Subscribe. It's free. I want to hit 50,000 subs ASAP. We're going to be the next channel here at Chat Sports that hits that milestone. So help me get there. Let's get there as soon as possible. Subscribe for free videos. All right, so those are some cut candidates. How about some trade candidates now? Cody Whitehair. Now, you're probably thinking, dude, the Bears only have a few starting caliber offensive linemen, and Cody Whitehair is one of them. Yes, I agree with that statement. So the only reason this would make sense is if you sign someone else. Like, you would have to get another veteran guard that is simply just cheaper to come in and start at guard. And then you're going to say, well, you still have right guard fill too. Yeah, like a lot would have to go right to trade Whitehair. You'd probably have to sign someone. One of these rookies would have to emerge, or you move Borum inside. I acknowledge all of that. What I also would acknowledge, though, is that some teams could be interested because he has guard center flexibility, and if you can trade him, you save over $8 million. I think Cody Whitehair will be on this team this year, mostly because trading his contract's going to be tough, and you haven't done enough on the interior of your offensive line in free agency. But if you're trying to clear cap, and if you can find a trade partner and sign someone else that can do the job for cheaper and potentially better, this is probably the biggest tradable contract at this point in time that allows you to save the most money this year as opposed to future years. All right, let's go Robert Quinn. Obviously, we've talked about him a lot, connected to trade rumors throughout this offseason. There's been, articles, trade him to a contender like the Chiefs, the Rams, etc. Which, hey, for the right trade package, I'm open to that. Had a career type of year last year, 18.5 sacks. I don't think that'll happen again. I think he could give you 8, maybe even 10, maybe more. Who knows? But he's had a topsy-turvy career. I've said it for a while. I'll say it again. I'm not looking to just flat-out trade Robert Quinn for whatever. But if a day 2 pick in 2023 now is on the table, I'd consider it. Now, I think this would be more of a midseason trade at this point. I think the Bears are going to roll with Quinn at the start of the year. Good veteran, good player still, good guy to have around for the young guys. But say the Bears aren't off to a great start, or say a major contending type of team is like, hey, we'll give you a second-round pick for Quinn at the trade deadline. It's pretty appealing for a guy like Ryan Poles looking to build this thing with youth and draft picks. So we'll see what happens there. You'd save a little bit of money as well. Should the Bears trade Robert Quinn? Type T for trade, type K for keep. Again, depends on the offer. I think it's a win-win. If you keep him, you have a good veteran player. If you trade him, probably means you're getting a second or third round pick. Either way is fine with me. All right, last player. I don't know what Mario Edwards' trade market would be, but he's always been productive now. He's kind of had some off-the-field problems in his career, so I don't know how many teams would necessarily bring him on. But for like a cheap day 3 pick, 6th, 7th round pick, you'd save a couple of million if you traded him. He's got some positional versatility, can play defensive end, can play inside as well. I think he could be a guy that gets traded for a day 3 pick, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. All right, so there you go. Some cut candidates, some trade candidates for the Chicago Bears. Now I want to hear from you. Name a player that the Bears should cut or trade before the NFL season. I listed 7 guys out. Your turn to name a player as well in the comments section. And be sure to join us on Call-In Wednesday night, probably tonight for most of you watching, or if you're watching live on Tuesday, Wednesday night, 6 Eastern, 5 Central time. Your chance to call in. I want to hear from all of you, sports radio style. It's like you pick up the phone like in the old days, call your favorite radio station and weigh in on the hot topics. That's what we're doing on Call-In. Chatsports.com/Bears Call-In. Pin comment the link to today's live show. All right, so name a player the Bears should cut or trade. I will get some shout-outs here. Someone says Eddie Jackson. If you trade him after June 1st, you can save some money, yes. Cutting him, you can't save money. So if there's a trade partner, I thought about including him as a trade guy. I decided not to, but yes, he could be a trade candidate. The problem with him is his contract. You think Whitehair is just tough to trade. Jackson's contract, a team's taking on like $13.5 million. He is not a $13 million player right now. Now, maybe he can prove that this year he is. I just don't see a team trading for it. The Bears would have to eat some money, and if at that point, might as well just keep him and start him at free safety this year. So that could be an option. Cody Whitehair from RJ. Dakota Dozier, he has no value. He might get cut because he doesn't make the team, but yeah. Larry Borum, no. Let's see. Jackson played multiple positions last year. Yeah, they played him at nickel some. Trade Khalil Herbert for a third. That's not going to happen. No team's giving up a third for Khalil Herbert. Yeah, let's do that right now real quick, actually. Let's see. Ryan Griffin, I don't think so. We've got maybe trade Quinn, but get a second. If you can get a second, I'd definitely be open to that. All right, so we're going to get into our second mailbag here in a second. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat, get your questions in. But normally our second mailbag is the last show here, or last segment here on our Bears Now live show. Not today, though. We're going to go live on Rumble, rumble.com/Bears Bears Now. I'll be sure to get that link in the live chat right now and throughout Q&A too. Rumble.com/Bears Now. We'll also get the link to our live Rumble show right now because we are live on Rumble. So get over there by the end of Q&A too because we will have a bonus segment on Rumble today, a little Bears Now after hours action. All right, mailbag time, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Load up those questions and we'll get into it here on Bears Now. Mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, whether it's on YouTube or on Rumble. Load up those questions and let's get into it. Adam White, I asked you this a year ago and I'm going to ask you again. Bold prediction for the upcoming season. We'll definitely do a bold predictions video at some point, but off the rip here, Adam, oh man. How about this? Justin Fields will have 4,000 combined yards, passing and rushing. 35-ish hundred passing, over 500 rushing. How about that? I'd say that's pretty bold. If he has over 4,000 yards this year, that'd be pretty damn good. Zachary Francois, more receiving touchdowns or rushing touchdowns for Velus Jones? I'll go receiving. How about 3 or 4 receiving, 1 or 2 rushing, maybe 1 returning? That's ambitious. I set the over-under on total touchdowns at 4.5. That would be over if you hit all those thresholds. But I'll say receiving. I think he'll be involved as a running back some, but I still think he'll primarily be catching footballs. Alan Mack, Joe Schobert, Nick Kwiatkoski, or Anthony Hitchens, one of them to add the linebacker room. I think you're right on it, Alan. Just one of these veteran types that can come in, play, won't take long to learn the system. Not a superstar, but you don't need that. You got Roquan Smith. So if you got any of those guys, I'd be happy with it. Nick Morrow can, he could play some Sam, cover a little bit more as well. So, yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head, Alan. I think those would be some good additions. Sangray Kim has joined us. Trust not a man's word, but his action. Poles is talking all the talk about Buston being his guys. No action in terms of helping him. He'll be cut soon. Cut soon. Wow. Why would you cut him when 15 teams would trade for him? Number one. So I don't agree. And we can disagree. That's the beauty of Bears Now. It's all good. I'm not gonna block you on this channel or anything because some of you guys. I have to block people who put hate speech in the chat. I'm just not gonna stand for it. But this is not that. This is a healthy debate. I hope I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit. But we're nowhere close to being at the point where you could declare this guy as a bust. Jonathan with a question. What will the Bears' record be against NFC North teams? Ooh, good question. Obviously you play them all twice, so 6 games. I think 3-3 would be pretty respectable. Split overall. Obviously, if you can sweep the Lions again, that really helps. Can you beat the Packers once? That's a goal of mine this year. Beat the Packers at least once. Even if you're not making the playoffs or contending, split with the Packers. You got to start to get that monkey off your back for this young football team, especially if you're Justin Fields. So, 3-3, dare I say 4-2, that might be a little ambitious, but I think splitting with Minnesota is possible. So, split with all 3 or sweep the Lions and find another win between Minnesota and Green Bay. I think that's definitely at least a possibility. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Now, who's going to win the division this year? Obviously, the Packers are going to be the favorite here. Type GB if you think it's the Packers. And try to be honest. Try not to be biased here. At this point in time, I would not pick the Bears. Maybe that changes, but right now I would not. Type CHI for the Bears. Type MIN for the Vikings. Or type DET for the Lions if you're watching, Don Burr. Ryan Brasher, how many smoking Jays of signing Larry Ogunjobi? Well, depending on when you're watching this, on Tuesday it was reported that he's been visiting with the Jets for 2 days, so could be momentum for him signing there. I hope he gets a deal and gets some money wherever it's from because he thought he had life-changing money on the table, and obviously that fell through due to a physical, which was the right call by the Bears, by the way, I will continue to say. But one smoking Jay with Chicago, there's just not a lot of buzz between him and the Bears right now. Joe, who are our starting defensive tackles, and how confident are you in that position? Well, we can look at the depth chart right now. I do think it's a position of need, although it's secondary. Justin Jones, Kairos Tonga, is that your starters? I mean, that's what I have in there. I think it's that one tech is very much in the air. Angelo Blackson, could he start there? Could you kick Mario Edwards inside? You didn't draft one. I do think adding another defensive tackle is going to make sense in free agency. So we'll see what happens there. The guy I just mentioned, Larry Ogunjobi, maybe sign him, kick Justin Jones over to one tech, and then Tonga, Blackson, Edwards, those guys kind of all come in and rotate. Lucas Prang, would you rather go 3-14 but Fields looks good, or 12-5 but Fields struggles? I just don't see a scenario where you go 12-5 and Fields struggles. I mean, the only way that happens is if you have the best defense in the league, like the best. It's just too hard in today's NFL to win 12 games with below average quarterback play. It just is. So I guess the 12-5 but Fields struggles because you're in the playoffs at least, right? So it's a good question, but I will say, again, 12-5, but your quarterback struggles, it doesn't happen in today's NFL. Help us out. Follow us on Rumble for more daily Chicago Bears videos, uncensored content from me and other creators on the Rumble app as well. If you're into sports, news, politics, business, tech, whatever your niche is for content and information that you're trying to watch and consume, rumble.com/Bears now takes you to our channel. Hit that follow button and then go check out Rumble as a whole. A lot of good content creators over there. Xman6818, appreciate the super chat. Have you been watching the USFL? Any players in that league worth keeping an eye on? I'll be honest, I don't sit down and watch games. I see some clips on social media. I've kept an eye on a former player that went to my college, TCU, Cavante Turpin, who I loved in college. Kind of a little 5'7", 5'8" gadget guy, good speed, good returner, but you've got plenty of return type of guys, so I don't think he's a guy they would go out and get. But there's a few decent receivers I've seen. It's hard to tell how good they actually are, though, because they're going up against middling competition. So not middling, but not NFL competition, right? So I'll be honest, not watching it super close, but I've seen a little bit. Daniel Watson, what do you think about Getsy's words on St. Brown? I have a feeling we are highly underestimating his value with Getsy. It's possible. Listen, if St. Brown comes in and catches 40 balls for 500 yards, let's ride. That would be great. I just don't have a ton to go on with him. He's been in the NFL for 4 or 5 years and just hasn't been productive. So, look, he's 6'5", he can run. He's got the tools. Maybe Green Bay wasn't utilizing him properly. But I'll say this, Getsy was on that staff when he wasn't producing. So maybe Getsy had bigger plans and, Nathaniel Hackett and that coaching staff didn't utilize him well enough. Possible. We'll see. Cal Dyer, would you rather have RG3 start or Trevor Siemian if Fields goes down for the whole year? If Fields goes down for the whole year, I want the guy to start that gives you a better chance to lose. I want to go 1-16 if Fields misses the whole year. Don't want to go 0-17. No one wants that. But in all seriousness, if Fields got hurt, say, in preseason or training camp and missed the whole year, I'd want to tank this year. That would be my approach. So probably RG3 because he hasn't played in a year and he'd at least be more entertaining. But I do think Simeon's a better backup, if that makes sense. Kevin Murphy, most underrated Bears players. It's a good question. Underrated. I think an underrated player nationally still is David Montgomery. I think he's a really good football player. I think that they've had so many changes now on the roster. Khalil Herbert's another guy. I don't think the national media and NFL fans even know about him. I think he's a good runner. It's really tough. Let's go. Lucas Patrick, I would say, is underrated. He hasn't played for the Bears. He's a good starting center in this league. I think Mario Edwards is an underrated player. Nick Morrow hasn't played for the Bears yet, but he's an underrated guy. There's guys. Some of their underrated guys are no longer here, but those are a handful. Those are 3, 4, 5 guys that I think are underrated. Now, who's the best or your favorite Bears player ever? That's the question I have for you to turn the tables on you. How the turntables, right? Everybody watches The Office. Favorite Bears player ever? Let's hear it from you guys down in the comments section. I'm curious. I want to know. Nick Williams, can we touch on how ridiculous certain Bears reporters are? Kaplan blatantly tried to get polls to say the team stinks, along with a lot of negative questions directed toward players. Yeah, I see both sides of it because a lot of these guys have covered this team for a long time and they haven't been great in a while. 2018 was a really good year, but before that, besides that year, this team has not been great in a while. They haven't won a playoff game in a long time. So I understand a little bit of that, but I do think sometimes with these big J journalists and these guys who cover teams, and look, a lot of them do a great job. I'm not attacking the media here, but I do think that it's easier for these guys to have a negative approach than a positive one. I'm not saying you should be the guy. They're going to win 13 games this year. I don't think they're going to do that. But I think there's a chance they could be like the Eagles were last year. Team that starts slow but gets better and better with the new coaching staff and a young quarterback throughout the season. You watch. When this schedule comes out and these national media members release their predictions, there's going to be guys that have the Bears winning like 3 games. Just believe me, it will happen. Jonathan, which of the Bears players playing for a contract this year will the Bears keep? I mean, Roquan's going to be here, I fully believe. Montgomery, 50-50. We'll see. Could a guy, Byron Pringle on a 1-year deal, I think he's got a lot to prove. If he has a good year, he'll probably be back. If not, he'll probably be one and done. Eddie Jackson's not entering free agency next year, but I would say he's on a contract year. Hasn't played well the past 2 years. New regime. The Bears could cut him next season or next offseason. So I think he's a guy that needs to play well as well. Appreciate all the questions today. Go ahead and subscribe to Bears Now on YouTube if you did not get your question on the show, or even if you did and you enjoy what you see. We go live every Tuesday to answer all your questions. Link is below, youtube.com/Bears Now. I appreciate all of you guys for weighing in. All right, we'll get a couple of shout-outs here, and no loop today because we're going to Rumble, so stick with us. I'll explain that in a second, but some shout-outs, favorite Bears player ever. Olin Kreutz, oh man. Olin Kreutz, a great player, but some controversy around him there. I don't know what really happened there, to be honest. Let's see, Walter Payton and #sweetness. That's good stuff. Steve Walsh. Cap is fed up. Hey, and I like Cap. He's entertaining, but he's an example of a guy who's covered this team for a while, and yeah, he's a little bit fed up. I think I built a new one. Maybe I didn't move it. That's all right. Devin Hester, that's a good one. Obviously, Walter Payton, Brandon Marshall. All right, here's the deal. We're going to stay live for a bonus segment. I'll have executive producer Trace pump into the live chat the bonus segment on Rumble. It's already in there a bunch of times. We're going to stay live on Rumble, so I'll start a little timer here. 90 seconds here. 90 seconds. We're signing off on YouTube. Going live exclusively on Rumble, or staying live on Rumble because we are live over there right now. Get over there. The link is in the live chat. Polsky and Jay Ambitious already over there. We got 23 live on Rumble. I'll stay live on YouTube for another minute or so. I'll continue to shout out your favorite player. Walter Payton or Refrigerator Perry from Gaiman. We got Nathan Vasher from Tyler. That's a throwback. Let's see. Texas legend, no doubt about that. That 109-yard missed field goal return for a touchdown will live on forever. Sounds like work. Well, if you don't want more content, Herney, then you can sign off. That's all good. Johnny Knox, that's a name. We got 45 seconds, and then we're signing off on YouTube, staying live on Rumble. Got 40 people live on Rumble. I'll give shout-outs on Rumble as well. Doug Buffone, we got Lee Everyday already there saying Peanut Tillman. Jay Ambitious in there as well. F the Toilet from Polsky. That's good stuff. All right, we got 20 seconds. Get over to Rumble. The link is hammered in the live chat. This is your chance, so get over there. 10 seconds to go on Rumble, and then we're going to sign off. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're signing off on YouTube, staying live here on